welcome to that Spurs episode. It's our second show, and we are going to just recap of of a lot of things that has happened the last 48 hours in Tottenham world. And I have it's an honor, is a privilege to have Mr. Cody Mack in the house. And how are you doing, Cody?
Well, you know, bittersweet. It's a day where we've signed a commanding center back, still a young center back, but defending Serie A Defender of the Year. So we should be absolutely buzzing about this right now, but unfortunately, the specter of the Harry Kane situation is hanging over top of that, and Harry Kane's my favorite player, so to see him kind of engaged in a civil war with Tottenham Hotspur is pretty difficult to take, if I'm being honest. So I've seen. I mean, personally, my life is fine. It's got healthy kids. We're all good here, but Tottenham, man, Tottenham. We just can't have nice things.
It's a soap opera. It's definitely it's a big soap opera. And it's even with the Romero deal, it was just ups and downs, and it's finally completed. And I'm just today kind of needed to happen, I guess, for the fan base because in the back of the mind, everybody's still thinking about Kane. Today's day two of his mutiny, him going AWOL, and so it's really interesting how it's going to end. Um, but I guess we'll get a chance to speak about that later because I have some very strong opinions um, about it. But it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. um, Actually, 2 weeks before the first game of the season, and all the way till September 1st. So, my first topic, of course, is what is the big deal of the day? Is what do we make of the Romero deal? Um, it's a huge signing. I think one of the best signings we've had in a couple of years. It's a ready-made player. We often don't sign ready-made players. It's either a bargain buy or a prospect or someone who is ready to, you know, be that big star. I put Tanguay in that boat because there's so much more we can see from Tanguay um, than what we saw from his days at Lyon. So, Cody, what do you make of the Romero deal?
Well, I think on paper it's fantastic. Like I was saying in the intro, there you're talking about a defender. Like the thing is, center backs. When you get a center back who's at this level this early in his career at 23 years old, I think it's automatically you have to be happy with the deal. Ultimately, this deal is going to be judged on how the player plays, and you never really know how those skills are going to translate from the Serie A to the Premier League. But in terms of bringing a foreign player into the Premier League, I think this player is much more well suited to making that transition. He's a very physical defender, a very aggressive player, and statistically, like it's difficult to kind of digest some of the statistics that you see out there. Like you look at his Football Reference page, and it's just brilliant. But like this is all dependent on so many different things: the style of play that Atalanta play, the league in which he plays. So it's difficult to kind of parse through that. And I don't know ball, like I'll watch the Irish Hotspur and Jack Konecki and watch them break it down because
Yeah,
Jack's just a brilliant. Um,
yeah, he's awesome.
he's a brilliant
Yeah.
statistician, and he takes complicated stats and breaks them down for regular people like me, and it helps me understand it. So, but I think like on another angle of how the deal should be digested is like you were saying, it's very unlike Tottenham to go out and buy a finished product like this, especially a player so young but who's also coming at such a hefty price tag. Me personally, I think if Fabio Paratici wasn't here, we wouldn't be we wouldn't have purchased this player. This has Fabio Paratici written all over it. This is a player that he brought into the Juve system. You know, he couldn't break into the first team. They have tons of depth at center back. You've got Bonucci and Chiellini there, the ageless wonders who make up that partnership that we saw guide Italy to the Euros victory. And then even behind that, you've got Marai Demiral, and so it made sense for them to loan out a relatively unproven and raw talent in Christian Romero, and he took that next step. He took that next step at Atalanta, and I haven't seen much of the player with my own eyes. I did watch the a little bit of the Copa America, and he was quite impressive.
Yeah,
Helped Argentina win the trophy, keep a clean sheet against a very talented Brazil side that obviously has the likes of Neymar in attack and some excellent complementary players as well. Arguably the best team in South America. So pretty impressive stuff from a player who is quite young, but like just statistically speaking, that this guy is a defender who loves to defend. He's 99th percentile across year, and when compared with other center backs in the top 5 leagues, 99th percentile, which basically puts him at the top pressures, tackles, and interceptions, and he's 94th percentile in aerials won. So this guy is the complete package. He's exactly what I want as a Tottenham fan.
yeah.
At the outset of the window, I said it, and I won't back down from it. To me, if we move on a good chunk of the deadwood and we bring in that commanding center back, that will be a successful window. And I know that there are some people who will look at the window so far and look at it as incomplete. I'm not expecting us to fix everything that's gone wrong with the first team in a single window. I just think that the problems run too deep. But Christian Romero is a centerpiece that you can build around, and I'm really happy that we've got a foundational piece in place.
uh, Want to say hi to a couple of people. Bob says too much Cody today. Piss off. Big love, Magic Mark. All right, brother Bob, man. Oh man. If you could join, if you're not sleeping already, we would love for you to join us. Aaron's in the house. Of course, Aaron's in the house. Hey lads. He's awesome. Yeah, usually agree with a lot of his comments, brother Aaron. And then we have Nicola. We're gonna discuss this later on, but says we may help you. Yeah, Chelsea. We may help you with our bid for Lukaku. Levy may ask Man City for 150. Um, yeah, I mean whatever because they do like Jack Grealish. 100 mil. If Lukaku goes for 100 mil, 110, it sets that bar. Though even then, Levy has his set price where he could begin the negotiations. So, yeah, yeah. Um, but that definitely helps because if Lukaku, let's just say 120 mil, then Manchester City um, can't lowball us. They can't go under. And if I was gonna save this for later, if Charlie Kane is looking at where the other players are going for the price, and basically Harry Kane, in my book, is better than Lukaku. I know Lukaku had a great year, but you talk about a guy who's won 3 golden boots, who is, English. Like, I mean, there's a lot of things that factors into the worth. And I'm actually going to talk about how much Harry Kane really worth. So, so yeah, definitely. Brian Daigle is in the house. What's up, brother? uh, Man, definitely next time we'll get him on the show. He says all good. Cody Mack, how are you? How are you, Cody?
Yeah, I'm all good, Brian. I'm all good. Big up. Thanks for showing up.
So um, yeah, so my opinion about the Romero deal, it is the best deal we've had in a couple years. Ready made. He is really going to rub off on Rodon or anybody else that's there. If Tanganga is there, because there's rumors that he may be going to Galatasaray out in Turkey. Um, I'm really iffy on that. So I'll talk about the transfers. Um, I honestly don't think Dyer is going to leave. Just not enough time, and you kind of have to have depth. But if we can get another center back that we could pair with Romero, it's going to be awesome. And what Romero brings, you mentioned Cellini and Bonucci. He's going to get under the skin of some of these guys like Salah and um, what's the guy for Chelsea's name? The one that can't score
Werner.
goals. Werner. And he's gonna get on the skin of these guys. He's gonna get on the skin of Gabriel Jesus, and we need that type of player. Having him and Hoiberg, being our dogs. Irish Heisberg was saying dog, on the field. He's going to command that back line, and this is huge. This is a huge signing for us, and so it's the first step of many steps. There's still a lot of work we need to do. But if we do it correctly and, realistically, as of now, maybe top 6, but if we do things correctly, it's not out of the realm of being top 4, being number 4. It's not out of the realm. It just takes smart buys and smart dumpings. We're ready to make some
Yeah,
smart dumpings, but it's just some smart buys. I personally want to see another center back, of course, along with teriyaki. Didn't want to call him. I call him the Italian dish dessert.
oh,
Ter-
tiramisu.
tiramisu. Teriyaki on the wing. Well, playing the back 4, right back. And if we can get, though a couple people want a right wing, I still believe we need a Ericsson replacement. We need a center, a CAM. We need someone that could create in the middle. We missed that. We missed someone who could create for free kicks, you know, into the box. Who's a threat outside the box. We need a little bit more goals out, from our midfield. And I know a couple people mentioned Ward's Prowse, who I love. Um, but I think about it, he's not that great in open field, but the guy's an assassin. He when it comes to free kicks. So yeah, a couple of comments. I don't want to be backed up. Brian, he says 100%. I will come on the next show tonight. I'm absolutely shattered. I definitely understand. Um, Bob Spur says Romero is a sit up, take notice signing. Yes. Let's hope we kick on and get a good defender to partner with him. Yes. Romero, Romero and Dyer just doesn't sound fair. 100% agree. Um, Scott is in the house, brother Scott. He says, I don't think we will take those other steps, but nice to see Romero's in. And I totally understand. I totally understand that, you know, not say it's pessimistic, but we know Tottenham. We know Daniel Levy because he still has the final say. You know, hey, we'll sign Romero and we're done. But I think we're gonna do another signing because if these rumors are true of Tanganga going out, you know, um, we've already lost Toby. We're gonna need a little bit more depth. So I'm hopeful that we're gonna sign another center back. Aaron says, think I'm the only one who thinks that we're short of another center back in the right wing. I'll be happy with that. I mean, if we get the right wing, I'm hearing rumors about Damsgaard, who can play the left and right. I'll be happy, but it will be third priority on my list.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm kind of leaning towards what Scott was saying about I'm not going to I'm not going to expect us to take the rest of the steps to propel us back into the conversation for top 4. As it stands right now, I mean, we weren't that far off top 4 last year, so getting that commanding center back and having a different coach in place might produce a different result. But at the same time, you've got the likes of Man City. We don't know what they're going to do. And Chelsea, neither one of them have spent a penny, I don't think, yet in the transfer market officially. You know that they're not going to sit still. United, they just added Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. Leicester City, they've made some signings as well, Boubacar Samari and Patson Daka.
Oh
And
yeah,
also Liverpool, they added Ibrahima Kanate, and also they're going to have Virgil van Dijk back. So there's 5 teams right there that have not only uh,
it's driven.
not that not only finished above us last year, but have fortified or are about to fortify further. So I look at what is, unless we have like a complete turnover here in the window, like four more good players that come in. I look at this window as being more about stopping the bleeding as opposed to turning the tide. Um, but yeah, it's encouraging that we've got a commanding center back in to begin the business, because we've been here the last 2-3 windows in a row knowing that that's exactly what we need, and we haven't gone that extra mile to just get the deal done. We could have done this with Skriniar last year, and with Jose, and we may have, that might have been the difference between us getting top 4 and finishing where we did in the table. You never know. So it's encouraging. It's encouraging that we've finally got that defender that we've been yearning for years, basically.
Yeah, and I put on ticker that remaining transfer needs, since we're talking about that. We know Teriyasu is up in the up in the pipeline. They say that after the Olympics, it's going to be done. So who is the other center back that you feel could be that we could possibly get to be paired with Romero? I'm hearing that Milenkovic is going to be pretty hard to do now, but are there other center backs that you think that we could possibly go after?
Well, why is Milenkovic going to be an issue?
Well, yeah, so many rumors going out. I'm hearing that his parent club is now changing their mind about selling him, maybe because it's getting later um, in the transfer period. Because though Serie A starts later, but each club has a timeline where they could get replacements. But
Yeah.
so I
There's
mean,
just that's another example of like collateral damage of letting business take this long. I would take Milenkovic. I think he'd be a good deal. I think he's valued at 15 million euros. I think he's going into his last year of his deal. Um, Sven Botman would be excellent, because we're talking about another center back who's in that age bracket, the same age range as Roden and Romero, and Tanganga is a little bit younger than that. But if you had that spine of like really solid center back options, especially when we're a club that looks to be playing in European competition as well, it would enable us to have a solid defense in all competitions. We would be able to field a decent squad in the FA Cup. We would be able to field a decent squad in the League Cup. Um, and also, Botman is left-footed, and I think that's something that we've been
yeah,
missing for a few years, is that balance. But he's also, I think he's twice the price of Milenkovic. So it just depends on so many things. Like what kind of budget do we have to work on here? Like, we're being linked with other players who are 50 million, like Vlahovic and everything. It Are we spending the Harry Kane money? Is there an agreement in place already? Who knows? I I certainly don't expect us to plug all the holes that we have in the squad. But if we did get another center back, Tomiyasu, and a right winger, and man, that would make a huge difference, especially if we were able to do that while holding on to Harry Kane.
yeah. I mean, we were long linked with Anderson, who was also left-footed. He signed with someone else. Forgetting who he signed with, and of course Kunde. Since we have Nicola, who's Chelsea fan, which I love having fans from other clubs on. So um, thank you for coming out and joining the stream, Nicola. I know they're trying to get Kunde. I think Sevilla is pricing him at 70 mil. If I'm correct, Nicola, if you could correct me if I'm wrong, at 70 mil. And so I don't know if Chelsea wants to pay that for Kunde, but Kunde, everybody knows that he wants to pay Champions League, so we had to cancel that out. Though we had an agreement with Sevilla, so yeah, I like Botman. Definitely like Botman. I know someone who's familiar with the with the Premier League, but less in. I don't want to say less talented, but not to the level of Botman. Connor Cody. You know, I mean, if Connor Cody is on our team, he's better than anything we have now, minus Romero.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not huge on Connor Cody personally. Great name, but I think he's kind of mid. Like I know he's an England international, but Eric Dyer was an England international, and we know the quality that he brings to the pitch. So I know Nuno. He's kind of like Nuno's general. It's just a question of whether or not Wolves would let him go for a reasonable price as well. I'd be fine with him as like a tertiary option. Maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't talk bad about him. He walks into our team easily at this moment. It would just be nice to exercise. I might want James Tarkowski over Connor Cody if I'm being honest.
Mm.
He's another option. Burnley probably don't want to let him go for less than.
What about Dunk? Dunk.
Yeah, I would take Dunk for sure.
Yeah.
Underrated. Like at least those guys are Premier League proven. And if we're going to bring them in, the thing is, we have to think now about how we want to pair Christian Romero. I think Joe Roden would actually make a good pairing with Christian Romero because despite being caught kind of ball watching a few times last year, I think Roden enjoys the defensive side, like making defensive plays themselves. Like Romero is aggressive, so he'll look to make interceptions. He'll look to break up play. He'll traverse into the midfield. He'll leave himself exposed. Joe Roden is like that safety blanket that can fall in behind him and cover when he gets over aggressive, so to speak. So I think that they
Hmm.
complement each other well. I don't know if I would want him that to be like that would be our center back pairing going into the season, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Brian brings up a point that Connie Cody, which is true, can't play in the back four because Wolves they usually play a back five. Um, don't want him, but he he brings up a Spurs legend. I'll bring back Gary Matt, I would definitely welcome that if it meant no more Eric Dyer. So yeah, Nicola confirmed. Yeah, it is 70 mil. But they won't go for him because if they're gonna go after Lukaku for 120 mil, that helps us out in regards to setting the market. In regards to Harry Kane.
This Kunde deal with Chelsea, this is important to what we're going to do in the transfer window because as far as I know, originally, it was Kurt Zuma was supposed to go back to Sevilla in a deal, but he apparently wants to stay in the Premier League, and West Ham are kind of interested in bringing him in. That means that it would just be straight cash going to Sevilla, and they would need to bring in a replacement. And we've been pretty solidly linked with them as being interested with Davinson Sanchez.
Sanchez.
So if Kunde went to Chelsea, Zuma went to West Ham, and Sanchez went to Sevilla, that would give us a nice little boost in terms of finances to get us maybe the extra money to bring in like a Sven Botman or someone like that who would be an improvement. Thing is, a player like Davinson Sanchez might thrive a lot more in the Spanish league as opposed to the Premier League. Um, well, that's just speculation. We really don't know what would happen, but I would love to see him out the door at this point, even if it meant us taking a loss. He really hasn't worked out, and I don't know how many years you want to give him before we cut our losses and just get what we can for him. If we keep him one more year and he continues to stagnate and not grow as a player, it's only going to hurt the price even more. So if Sevilla are interested this summer and I want to put the money up once they complete the Kunde deal, I would sell Sanchez for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think we could get him as high as we can get right now because he actually had a good Copa America, and sometimes these tournaments, you know you could definitely increase your value as a player, especially if you've done well. And Colombia got to my knowledge, they got to the semis. Yeah, they got to the semis. So yeah.
Yeah, they pushed. I think they pushed Brazil pretty far in that game as well. I think I remember, but the goal that got scored to send them home, Davinson Sanchez had a big hand in it. So, as much as he did have that's the whole thing. We know the quality that Sanchez can bring, but it's that those one or two mistakes a game that just the ball just seems to end up in the back of the net every time. Like you just can't have that at this level. This is the most competitive league in the world, and you just can't have people making those errors. You just can't make up for them.
Yeah. Bob Spur says, "I hear Dunk is a great basketball player. He should be. It's a tall dude, man. He's a yeah. He'll be a very underrated signing." Um,
Boo! Bad pun. Boo!
Aaron says, "I'll take Raymond Veda over Dyer." Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who will take over him. Vega typo. Uh, Habit. Veda is my daughter's mom's name. Friedrin type error. Um, so Aaron mentioned right wing, and I know your partner in crime will mention a right winger. I would love to get one in. Um, Donovan Bailey. Like I said, I was a big fan of him. Plays in a good league. Comes from a team where we have a history of success. Sonny came from Bayer, and so good buy by Aston Villa. Excellent buy. Um, but do you think what would you rather have, a creative midfielder or a right wing for this club? I'm saying creative midfielder, that we need more than a right wing. We can work that out, but what do you think, Cody?
Well, I think one of the keys. I think it would probably be more suitable to upgrade at right wing, just because I feel like Bergvine is just too far away in terms of what he should have brought already for the price that we paid for him. Um, I want to believe in Steven Bergvine so badly,
Yeah,
but how I just see so much more potential for us to get the likes of Ndombele and Lo Celso on track a lot sooner than we would get Steven Bergvine on track. I don't even know if right wing is going to be Steven Bergvine's preferred position. He might be more comfortable on the left side, and
the
we
left.
know we know who's going to be playing on the left side for most of the season in the important games anyway, and that's Youngmin
Yeah,
Son, barring injury, God forbid. But yeah, I think it depends a lot on like I felt like we squandered a lot of what Ndombele brings to the table in terms of his talent. He really shouldn't be playing that deep in the pitch. And I know that we've got a new manager now who's been basically told you need to play attacking football. Um, we'll have to wait and see. It depends. Like I don't know what formation do you expect Nuno to employ, because everyone is talking about how he would be putting us into a back three, but I'm not
has
seeing that. I
I'm
haven't
not
seen
seeing. He
that.
hasn't done it yet. Yeah,
Yeah, it's looking more like we might play like a 4-3-3, or if we end up getting another striker in, maybe we go to a 4-4-2 and play two up top, whether that's Kane and Son or Kane and a second striker that we bring in. What do you think is our formation that we're kind of looking to play here?
Uh, like you, I thought we are gonna play with a back three, having regularly on one end and having our new uh right back on the other. Um, but then again, he has Daughtry there, and wasn't impressed with his brief preseason showing. Um, so I would rather go with the back four. Um, I don't know. It's because if you believe the rumors, that second striker, I can't pronounce his name, Volicic, uh,
Vlahovic.
Vladovic, he he's the real deal. And if we get him, then we're definitely gonna play two up top. So it's then is it gonna be Sunny out to the left, and then it's gonna be Hoiberg, Nomdebele, and Lo Celso to the right. But then again, um, I'm just loving what Lucas is doing right now, coming in from the right into the mid. I mean, Lucas is having a great preseason, and um, before this preseason, I'm like, I don't want Lucas in the starting 11, but you know, right now, well, he will be the starting 11 because Harry Kane's not gonna play the first game. Um, but it's I don't know, but I am encouraged because we're getting a lot of offensive chances. We're pressing, and tomorrow's gonna be a big test to see, all right, what is he gonna settle on, because now some of the players have come back. Um, might see some minutes from Tanguay. We might see some minutes from Hoiberg. I know they came a couple days early, him and Lo Celso. So really depends. Really depends on tomorrow um, against Chelsea.
Yeah, this is where it gets really disappointing what's going on with Harry Kane, because we should, with a big name signing like Christian Romero in the door today and Man City coming up in 13 days, we should be absolutely buzzing for the start of the season. We should be buzzing for the preseason game tomorrow to see a little bit more of a sneak peek at what Nuno's got up his sleeve for us, because as much as the way that the manager search played out, Nuno didn't end up being the most exciting appointment. I still think he's a good coach, and I think that he might surprise a lot of people who were hashtagging no to Nuno or detracting from his potential hiring. One thing about Nuno's tenure at Wolves, I don't remember us ever just waltzing all over them, and
No,
ever we
yeah,
never really looked at Wolves as being an easy pushover game with
yeah,
guaranteed 3 points. I mean, even last year when they didn't have Raul Jimenez, who suffered that terrible fractured skull against Arsenal, um, they're very pesky, and
and pain in the ass to
they
every
are.
team.
They are.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
made that squad very difficult to beat. And they were very good against top six sides as well, which
yeah,
is encouraging. And he does have a reputation for having good fitness within his squads as well, which I think was a huge issue with our squad last year.
yeah,
And you don't need to look any further than the 23 points dropped from winning positions, a lot of them in the last 20 minutes of games. I mean, just thinking about it gives me PTSD at this point. But
mhm,
I am excited to see the dynamic that he brings, and if he can take a Wolves side with the qualities that they have and the players that they have and make them respectable, if not difficult to beat. Who's to say that if he is given the talent that we have at Tottenham plus whatever signings that we make, that he can't make us more than what we were last year. We might be a team to be feared, especially like it's very encouraging his track record against the top six. It's excellent. So
yeah,
he's a bit of a big game manager in some respects.
yeah. And that's why I'm hoping I'll if we finish top four, it's because we are that pest. We are that new pest where we are taking points for the other teams in the top six. And if we can get the right pieces, we're not gonna get all the pieces, but if we can get the right pieces, you just never know, man. The Premier League is crazy. You just never know what may happen. And barring injury, I mean, it's not out of the realm. And like I said, I may be back to my pessimistic mode after the Manchester City game. But I don't know. I get a good. I have a weird feeling because we've had such a crazy summer, a long summer, that maybe good things may come our way.
Yeah, and another factor to consider in terms of what we might be able to achieve this summer and this fall in the Premier League is that we're going to have fans back in the stadiums. And I mean, every team was damaged by the fact that they didn't have their fans, that they didn't have their supporters. But I think of those teams, considering, we've just moved into our new home, we have the best stadium in the Premier League, if not the world right now, and 60,000 screaming Tottenham fans that they can make a difference in terms of how those players perform. I can't really picture a lot of those drop points at home. I'm not going to say that we would have held on to all those leads, but I don't think that the Tottenham Hotspur supporters would have just sat there and
Oh
accepted the
yeah,
way that we shriveled in games towards the end of the
the
game.
West Ham game. You know,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, and this is, again, it just makes it so frustrating that we're dealing with this Harry Kane situation, because if it wasn't for that right now, you might argue that you could be optimistic about the season now that we've got Romero over the line. But until this is sorted with Harry Kane, it's going to be a dark cloud over everything.
Well, since you mentioned Harry Kane, I wanted to get to the other. Oh, it's not popping. Okay. Um, so let's get straight to Harry Kane. Let's get to the doom and gloom. Um, there was some other comments before we get to Harry Kane. Um, Bob Spur mentioned, which is very important. Death is going to be very important, and I think as much as it depends if we could get a good deal for Winks, a couple players, Eric Dyer, because I'm pretty sure Aurier is going to go and Sissoko is going to go, but we got to have depth because we got the Conference League, we got the FA Cup, we got the Carabao Cup, and we got the league. People are going to have to play. Now, Aaron brings up a good point. We have a lot of young people. Patowski, I really like the guy. Now, John, a couple of these guys, they're going to get. I think um, Patowski is going to get probably a chance to play um, at right back. I'm hopeful that he's going to get a chance to play. Some of the youth are going to get a chance to play because Nuno has been good with the youth. So some excellent points right here. Um, Aaron talk about trusting the youth. Um, Bob Spur says Aaron agreed. I think they are quality, but I believe that they should be integrated playing freely rather than the pressure of having to replace a first teamer, no matter how poor they were. That's an excellent point there. Scott says, will Levy let him play with back three? Wasn't that a concern he had with Paratici? And Paratici had to convince Levy with his back four at Valencia to bring in Nuno. That is an excellent point. Scott brings up. Aaron says the youth have no fear. They're hungry, full of energy. I'll be giving them a few games, not all at once. Um, but we got a lot of good points. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Scott mentions Mendes with the transfer, basically because Wolves is a Portuguese team, and Nuno's Portuguese. So yeah, let's get to Kane. Bob Spurs says, although I think what you did was totally out of order, I still want you to stay. Never gonna give up on you. Give you up. Still a legend. Brian Digger said, with or without you, the show must go on. So let's get to Harry Kane, Cody. Let's talk about Harry.
Yeah. Um, Look, for me personally, obviously I'm disappointed that he's decided to take this course of action, but I'm not shocked. Could he have maybe done things differently? It really just depends on how serious he is about forcing a move out of the club at this point. You would think, and what's gone on now is we're left to fill in the blanks and read between the lines, because neither party is really blinking in terms of what's being disclosed in the media. There's all sorts of contradictory stories being leaked and written from media outlets. We've heard everything from Harry Kane won't show up to training or ever play for Tottenham again, to this is all getting blown out of proportion and it's all because of a COVID test, to anything. You honestly have to try and digest what is going on in the news cycle and pick and choose what you want to believe, because there's just so much conflicting information going on. That's part of the reason that, personally, do I think that what Harry Kane is doing is right? No. Am I about to take and flush Harry Kane's entire legacy at Tottenham Hotspur down the toilet because he's decided not to show up to training for 2 days and possibly the rest of this week? No. I'm kind of in wait and see mode. I'm in a bit of a holding pattern because it's difficult. We've got you've got a club that we all love so much, and we know everyone will say it. No player is bigger than the badge, and that's true. Harry Kane is my favorite player. So to see him in a bit of a civil war here with Tottenham Hotspur, it hurts. It really hurts, and especially at a time when this could have been a period where we could have been renewing our optimism and getting excited for the upcoming season. I really think it's unfair that some people are jumping to conclusions and making assumptions about a situation that really only the people who are close to the situation understand all the details. I don't look at Harry Kane as having gone from Mr. Tottenham to Harry Kane the Snake in
Yeah.
overnight. He didn't just wake up Sunday night and think, I might not show up to training. There are things that have gone on that we can't understand between him and the hierarchy at Tottenham Hotspur. And I think this has been coming for some time. For me, it's surely since they sacked Jose, and if not, going back to when they sacked Maurizio Pochettino. This has been something that has been building for quite some time, and there are just dynamics that we can't understand. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. I will not
Mhm.
be casting stones in his direction, not yet anyway. And I certainly won't be uttering his name in the same breath as the likes of Judas, Saul Campbell, or
No.
or
Yeah.
the thing is, like, there's no pretty way. There's no pretty way to go about divorcing yourself from Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
divorce.
yeah, it
Possibly.
is.
Yeah.
Um, it's always going to be a slap in the face of the fans because you're abandoning them, whether for your own personal aspirations and the gap between where you think the club is now as opposed to where you were promised it would be when you signed the 6-year deal. Um, yeah, it's just utter crap. The whole situation is just crap, and
Yeah.
I really wish it wasn't happening. But let's wait and see how it plays out. It's quite possible he might show up to training on the weekend, be a Tottenham Hotspur player this upcoming season, bang 30 goals in. Fuck's sake.
Lights
So,
went out.
sorry.
No, no, no problem.
Yeah, no, our power just flickered.
Oh, is it raining?
Um,
That's
must be, but I
yeah,
didn't cut out. We just
yeah.
I just moved my modem to a battery backup so that this wouldn't I wouldn't lose everything. But
Okay.
yeah, apologies for that. Anyways,
Uh,
that's my take on Harry Kane.
yeah. Well, we get that a lot in Florida with our thunderstorms. Um, yeah, my take. And I'll try to stick to facts and then go a little bit in theory. Because I posted the question on Twitter and on the bottom. So, um, Harry Kane, right? Love him. He is 100% my favorite player. Um, I love him. Um, was very disappointed on a Monday that he didn't show up. Because you look in the dictionary under professionalism and class, he is that, and no one's perfect, and no one is above criticism. You have two extremes. You have those who are like, hey, you can't criticize Harry Kane, and then you have those who are extremely on the other end are Snake, Benedict Arnold. He's a gooner and all that ridiculous stuff. So there have to be a balance, and a good friend of ours, Bob Spur, um, said it at best. That You're a legend. You're a legend for the club. And you know what? He made a mistake on Monday. If you believe the reports, he's been fined. You know, and you hear all the stuff from Sky Sports. He has shown the first 2 days. You know, it seems like okay, he's having a mutiny. He's having a protest. You know, so we're a bit disappointed because there's a lot of players who Danny Rose or Gareth Bale. Even if they were trying to force their way out, they showed up to training. So I want to go back to his brother, um, Charlie Kane, and this tells you how much Harry Kane loves the club. You look at every major um, athlete or superstar in football, the Ronaldos, the Messi, the Lewandowskis. All these guys have a major release clause. Did a little research of why Harry Kane didn't want the release clause because he truly believed in Tottenham, and it which is great, but it was bad for him. It was bad for him because any other agent other than his brother, the Mendes, the Barnetts, the Manolas, they will tell you you have to get a release clause, let alone give 6 years to a club. I don't care how much you love a club, you don't give 6 years. Messi, I can guarantee you, loves Barcelona. He's going to resign with Barcelona, but he would not sign a 6 year deal, let alone without a release clause. Why I say that's so hugely important is we've come to a term where they have this gentleman's agreement, um, and people could choose to believe it or not believe it, and you can see a frustration because, and I will say this: Enoch and Levy are not exempt. Those guys made Harry Kane. They put him in this position to revolt, to rebel. You know, and we should always remember that. And those who are watching the stream, Enoch, there's no excuses for Enoch and Levy. They are still to blame for this situation. Because if they had any ambition to match Harry Kane, we wouldn't be here. So let's fast forward to the point where now Harry Kane is upset. Problem is he's stuck in that contract. So I mentioned Agent 101. I live in Orlando, Florida. Florida is home to retired athletes, baseball players, football players, even soccer players. Kaká and um, Rivaldo live in town, and so just a lot of athletes. And I know some people who've been agents in the music business. And Charlie Kane did not do his homework in the sense of that contract, because everybody knows, and I would think our listeners would know that if you have 3 years in your contract, it is really hard, really, really hard to force a move because it's all about leverage. If you get into 2 years and 1 year, it's a little bit more pressure for that owner or that club to want to sell. But you're forcing 3 years, mind you. I'll use this example. I used it before on a post and another stream yesterday. Real Madrid can write a textbook. Barcelona can write a textbook of forcing a transfer. They've done it in the past where they will convince the player and the agent to force that club's hand to make that deal because Real Madrid is willing to pay for that. They are willing to pay. Real Madrid, they write blank checks, or especially on a good superstar player, of which Harry Kane is. The problem here is, and I said Charlie Kane messed up with the contract, so that's a fact. If you choose to believe Manchester's first bid for Harry Kane and offer him at 100 mil, um, made another mistake in the sense of, do you really know your dance partner? And your dance partner right now is Oil City, Man City. Are they willing to pay that 150? If they are, that they could force the hand of Levy in regards to, a deal of 150, 160, 170, whatever it takes to get this deal done. But the problem is, Man City, publicly or behind the scenes, are saying we're not willing to go that high. So that's your dance partner who's not willing to dance with you, and it's like this is all bad timing for Charlie Kane, and Harry Kane is his only client that I know of to force the hand of Daniel Levy to do this to do this transfer. And I mean, it is honestly bad agent 101. You could literally go to agent school and really dissect the mistakes that Charlie Kane has done. So I feel bad for Harry Kane in the sense that he wants to make this move, but he's not getting um, wise counsel from his brother, and so it is um, a really really dire situation, and it caused him to make that mistake. Um, I want to address this a point. Aaron says, "Think Real Barca are combined in 3 billion in debt. Blank check method backfire." Yes and no. It worked for Real Madrid because for their brand, it brought them three more Champions League's title. And most people don't know that Real Madrid is still backed by the Bank of of the Bank of Spain. Whenever they're in financial trouble, this is the reason why Barcelona hates Real Madrid. They are always backed by the national bank, which is like ridiculous. It's unheard of. That's how much of an entity that Real Madrid is in Spain, that they must not fail. But we're gonna talk about that later. We'll talk about that later on. But um, good point in regards of being in debt, but it's more of a hurt for Barcelona than Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Um, any thoughts of what I just said, Cody?
Yeah, I know I've heard the contract argument and I get it. But football contracts between players and clubs, they're rarely are seen to the end. And despite, yeah, the thing is, it's unusual. It's not only unusual to have a contract without a release clause, as you mentioned, but it's unusual to have a 6-year contract, right? Usually it's 4 or 5 years, depending on the player. So if Harry Kane had signed a 5-year deal right now, he'd be 3 years into it. He would only have 2 years left. So it's just as much about the time that Harry Kane has given from the beginning of the contract, uh, in addition to how much remains on the contract. Um, this never really ends well when you get a player who is deeply unhappy, who wants to force a move out. Most of the time it ends up the player gets moved on at some point. Um, I think part of what is going on with Harry Kane not showing up to training is that not only is Daniel Levy not he's setting the price at £150,000 or higher. I don't even think he's picking up the phone to Manchester City right now. And that's Harry Kane's desired destination. That's probably the only club that's equipped to bring Harry Kane in for that price that actually wants him as well. Levy has a history of forbidding players to go to other clubs in the Premier League when they make their move to go and win trophies. Luka Modric, Real Madrid, Gareth Bale, Real Madrid. You go back as far as Berbatov. Yes, we sold him to United. We were a different club at that time. We weren't nearly as competitive as we have been over the course of the last 12 years. So if it, I know that there's a lot of people who are reacting to what Kane has done, you know, thinking that he's trying to devalue his price and trying to get Levy to accept Manchester City's 100 million pound offer. I don't really see it that way, and I don't want Daniel Levy to accept a discounted price for Harry Kane.
Yeah,
Gonna sell him. He should damn well be getting the money that he's worth. But I think it's a matter of Daniel Levy not even considering, not even entertaining it, and that's the rumored gentleman's agreement. Like apparently there was upset last summer, Kane didn't show up on time for training last summer, and he was made promises and basically said, "Okay, I'll stay one more year, but if at the end of this year we haven't won anything, or we're not working towards winning something, or we're not close to winning something, I want you to listen to offers." And that's probably where him and Levy. This is all speculation. We really don't know for sure, but like if Levy's not picking up the phone, that would explain why Harry Kane is doing what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, I think most people could agree that it would, the preference would be to put in a transfer request and make it official and come out and go public a little bit. But just there's no easy way. There's no way for him to leave the club without disrespecting the club itself and the fans that support it. So let's hope for a peaceful resolution that sees Harry Kane playing for Tottenham again, and one that doesn't tarnish his legacy beyond repair.
Yeah, and it's the reason why, you know, other than what happened on Monday, I've publicly said, on Twitter and previous other channels, that I don't think Harry Kane is leaving this year. Next year, that's a different story. But this year, he's not going. Just for the reasons I've mentioned, a deal like this would be very complex to finish before the transfer window is done. Um, Let alone you have to find that dance partner who's willing to pay that. And so we bring up Harry Kane's worth, which is the next thing I want to be able to just break it down to people and what Daniel is. This is a scary thing. I'm gonna get into Daniel Levy's mind here, financial mind, and it's the same mind that other clubs have. Harry Kane's real worth, right? And Levy's not going to give a discount to Manchester City to appease Harry Kane, because Harry Kane's worth is about roughly 250 mil. Now, Daniel Levy knows he's not going to get that number. No one can afford that number. So, he has to go down a notch to 175, or to the lowest 150. The reason is because Harry Kane's brand is Tottenham's brand for now. It is Tottenham's brand. Tottenham's brand has skyrocketed in the last 15 years outside of the UK. Now, I mentioned this in another channel, and I'll say it again. There was a time where Manchester United dominated the market share in the United States, globally outside of the UK. The other Premier League teams have done such an excellent job, the top six, the other five clubs, in infiltrating that market share. Tottenham has done a great job, and got to give Levy that credit for having that market share. I could tell you 20 years ago, I was probably the only Tottenham fan in the city of Orlando, or heck, in the state of Florida. Now you could get Tottenham jerseys at every sporting goods store. You can see a Tottenham fan walk around the street. Mission accomplished. So this also translates to TV viewers, TV deals, and TV airtime. So Harry Kane, Tottenham, it would normally be either Sonny or Harry Kane's face, their mug of a face, when they're promoting Tottenham. And so Daniel Levy knows that. Right now, he doesn't have Champions League to put up. And this is the reason why he wants Champions League. He doesn't care about winning the trophy. He cares about being in Champions League because it's another add-on to the brand that is Tottenham. Because it brings the more publicity, the more of the market share. That means the more money, the more people are buying your brand, the better the chance of doing an American tour, or a China tour, or Australian tour. These things matter to Daniel Levy. So that's the reason why he is going to hold on to Harry Kane until he can't hold on to him anymore. And Harry Kane is going to probably have to figure out that, hey, I may be with Tottenham for an extra 2 years until that 1 year. And so um, that is one reason why that Daniel Levy will dig in his heels. He is not going to give a discount rate for Harry Kane because Harry Kane means so much to the brand. I'm not even mentioning the football field, the brand that is Tottenham.
Yeah, yeah. It really depends how damaged the relationship is between Kane and Levy at this point. You know, how far is Kane willing to go? You know, the part of the some of the stories that were coming out that were saying that Harry Kane thinks that the reaction is being blown a little bit out of proportion to him not showing up makes me think that hopefully this is just like a token middle finger being shown to Daniel Levy and the board for not honoring whatever potential gentleman's agreement that went on between them for or whatever their side of the blame that Harry Kane is holding against them. Uh, Harry Kane is just flipping the board off right now. Um, it's just we'll have to wait and see if he's that serious about leaving the club that he wants to sit out. Then that's going to come at the cost of his legacy for Spurs, and I don't even know if it'll result in Daniel Levy conceding. We know what a difficult man he can be when he puts his mind to something. So if he puts his mind to Harry Kane not being sold, then Harry Kane won't be sold. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it all plays out. I'm certainly hoping that by the end of this coming weekend that there's a little bit more clarity and a resolution in place that sees Harry Kane staying and being a part of Spurs for at least one more year. And because let's face it, if we have a fit and firing Harry Kane in the squad that's playing and still playing as well as he possibly can for Tottenham, that makes us a better team. He's near impossible to replace like for like. We certainly wouldn't be able to bring in a striker in this window that could replace everything that he does for us on the pitch. It would take two players to replace what he brings and two good, proven players. I'm not talking about Vlahovic and Damsgaard or something like that. You'd basically have to take Harry Kane and replace him with Lukaku and a midfielder and like a number 10.
Yeah,
So let's just hope that this is being blown out of proportion and that things are not as bad as they seem, or at least they're not going to end as bad as they seem, that they're on track to end. Because yeah, I've just had enough of my fill for Tottenham pain these last few months since we sacked Jose, and it's just been a very frustrating period of time to support this club, and I don't want to be further frustrated.
yeah. No, and before we talk about, we'll leave off with what we want to see for the not Arsenal game, the Chelsea game tomorrow. Um, yeah, I want to see this resolved by by next week. Um, I I love this fan base because we want to grab onto hope. Not today with the Romero signing. I mean, people are dancing, they're posting pictures, funny memes of celebration. People want to go get a pint to drink. You know, everybody's feeling Nuno. At first, we are like, oh, Nuno, but I think you mentioned that there's kind of a little potch feel to Nuno, and we want to go into the season positive. We want to go into there, and it almost felt kind of, I don't want to say selfish. Like I said, I understand what Harry Kane has to do, but just a disappointment because it kind of puts a damper. But and it worked out to Tottenham's, you know, credit that Romero, deal happened today to kind of have people kind of smile. Though in the back of my mind we have the whole Harry Kane drama. But if this could be resolved, and honestly, I'm like, I really am hoping that Harry Kane's seeing that, man, this transfer deal is not going to be done this year. Let me get ready, score 40 goals, you know, and try to see if we can win the Premier League. All right. I might not play the Manchester City game, but I'll play the second game of the year. You know, I think we have a good chance of beating Manchester City. Most people don't know that they're going to be missing a couple players too, um, who played on the England team. So we have a very good chance. We've beaten them before without Kane. We could do it again. We could start out with 1-0, 3 points on top of the board, and come on Spurs. We could do this, and so that's why I kind of want this to find a resolution. And if they have to come around next summer, understandable. Levy will have a tough choice. Do we sell now? You know, um, next year, because now his value is going down. Who knows? So that's just my thoughts. I want the fan base. I want to go into the first game of the year on a positive note, and so um, we'll leave off. What are you looking for tomorrow in regards to starting lineups? What you want to see for some players in regards to the Arsenal game?
Um,
I mean Chelsea.
yeah, we got Chelsea tomorrow. Um, I would like to see a few of the regular starting 11 who we haven't seen yet get a little bit of a run out in the likes of Ndombele. Um, maybe I don't know if Hoiberg is available for selection. Um, I think for me, like I really would prefer if we weren't playing the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal in preseason. It doesn't really sit well with me. I think it takes a little bit away from the rivalry between the clubs. We really shouldn't be cooperating with these clubs on any level. We shouldn't be doing transfer business with them. We shouldn't be doing preseason. I don't like it. That being said, I think I just don't want to see injuries tomorrow, and I don't think that there would be intent to injure on any side because of the rivalry. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it would be a shame to like put a first 11 caliber player out against Chelsea and have him, get a studs up tackle from a young player on the other side. So I would look for those things, see some faces that we haven't seen yet, continue to see some of the youth get a little bit of exposure. And obviously a Tottenham win would be great, but I don't really put too much stock in these preseason games. Just looking for different little things. Like you could see against Colchester and against MK Dons, you could see a little bit of the style of play developing. You're starting to see some patterns of play. You saw Delhi have a good game against MK Dons. It's really hard to say how meaningful those things are, but yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see some new faces get a run out and some continuing development for younger players, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, I echo those sentiments. I kind of want to see a mixture of, all right, who's on the first team that's ready, kind of see that's fit. Um, yeah, actually, yeah, we do play them. What, the fourth, fifth game? Um, and I also want to see the youth come in, continue to play the Patowskis. Once see Cisse, because he played that first game, I was really impressed by him, but I haven't seen him the last two games. Want to see him. Of course, I want to see Dane Scarlett. I actually want to see him with the first team because I want to see him play a couple Premier League games. I know a couple people will say, "Hey, he's gonna play the Conference League and a couple of the Cup games," but you know what? I want him to have a taste of some of the Premier League games. Maybe come in as a sub for maybe 5 or 6 games. If possible. Nigel John. So I want to see some of the youth. I continue want to see Bergvine. Now, I mean, he's doing everything that I would want him to do. It's just the finished end product, scoring a goal. If he could score that goal, man, it could maybe psychologically lift that weight on him. So I'm hoping that Bergvine bags a goal so we can really see a good year from him. Sonny's on form, Lucas is on form, so continued that. And if Dembele can play, I think he should be able to play. And I know his wife or his partner gave birth. So if we could have him play, so yeah, I want to see the first team, but I also want to see a mixture of the first team and the young team. And Alfie Devine, yeah, I want to see more of Alfie. They keep putting him in the 80th minute, 75th minute. Um, I want to see little Messi be able to play uh, at least in the 60th minute, you know. So so yeah, so hopefully we'll get a win. I know it's a preseason game, but anytime we beat Chelsea and Arsenal, is it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But yeah, we're about to go off. Thank you, brother Cody, for coming out. And guys, Mister Iran, um, Bob Spur, Shane, um, who am I missing out? Scott, Nicola, Chelsea fan that came out, Jordan. Just want to thank you guys for just the support, and anybody else I might have missed out. Brian was on here, Mr. K. Um, just want to thank you guys. Just hit like and subscribe, and come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.